Welcome to Vet2Vet. I'm Conrad Kaskowski. I'm with the American Legion Post here in beautiful Plymouth, Wisconsin. I'm the adjutant, basically a secretary. With me is Dwayne Wick, also a member of Plymouth Post and County Council Commander.
Yes.
Okay, so Dwayne, today we take on another one of the American Legion 4 pillars, Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation. American Legion was chartered and incorporated by Congress in 1919 as a patriotic veteran service organization devoted to mutual helpfulness. So with that being said, Dwayne, how are some of the main ways the American Legion devotes time and energy to all veterans?
Okay. All right. Thank you, Conrad. Well, they protect VA from budget reductions, so the administration and members of Congress must make sure that the VA's entire budget is protected from effects like sequestration. They also boost VA construction projects, where the Legion has been profoundly disappointed with VA construction, both major and minor, because it's very underfunded. So this failure to provide adequate, safe, and up-to-date medical treatment facilities affects thousands of veterans. Another one is to stop denying VA health care. The Legion believes that any eligible veteran should be able to enroll in the VA healthcare system. Also, to improve access to health care in rural areas for a veteran. The VA's current definition does not take into account the travel time and the distance, and they don't take those into consideration. So it's problematic because many veterans are incapable of driving long distances, or they do not have proper transportation to navigate through the rough terrain or areas in rural areas. They also expand veterans treatment courts. So some veterans are not accessing health care some veterans are not accessing health care after combat and are at risk of entering the criminal justice system, where they could face charges stemming from medical issues. So the veterans treatment courts, similar to drug and mental health courts, were developed in 2008 to help veterans avoid incarceration. So here in our area, the Sheboygan Area Veterans Treatment Court, the purpose of that is to promote public safety while assisting and supporting veterans and their families through a coordinated response based upon the collaboration with the Veterans Service Delivery System, the community-based services, and the court system. So this SAVTC, or the Sheboygan County Veterans Treatment Court, takes cases from Sheboygan, Manitowoc, Calumet, Winnebago, Fond du Lac, Washington, and Ozaukee counties that are U.S. military veterans suffering from a diagnosed or treatable behavioral health issue that has contributed to the commission of a criminal offense, and then those who need then the structure and the support available through our court system to satisfy the court's screening process. Another one is to address environmental exposure issues. Service members have been affected with illness related to environmental exposure, which may be caused by direct contact, testing, storage, and transportation of toxic materials such as dioxins located in herbicides, And one of them you might be very familiar with is Agent Orange, which was used late in Korea and in Vietnam, or burn pits in Afghanistan, Iraq, and even stateside. And there's also many of the times during the Persian Gulf War where the well fires, that they had set wells on fire, and the issues with all of that smoke that they were inhaling at that time.
Well, thank you, Dwayne, and especially about the Sheboygan County Veterans Treatment Court. Now, for veterans to access their rightful benefits, there are two sources. One is the federal program called the Veterans Administration and the Wisconsin program called the Wisconsin Department of Veteran Affairs. So to get access to these programs can be a daunting task and often referred to as bureaucratic red tape. So to assist veterans, I always tell them to contact here, like for instance, Sheboygan County, the county service office. They'll ask for assistance, or maybe you've got a question, but you still need to call for an appointment because they are extremely busy. So that number, 920-459-3053. We'll repeat that again, 920-459-3053. Now I'm going to give you a history lesson on the County Veterans Service Office and the role the American Legion had. The birth of the CVSO in 1919 and 1939, the 4.5 million soldiers and sailors who returned from World War I were the largest generation of veterans the nation had ever seen. The sheer size and scope of the readjustment problem that faced the nation led to important policy innovations regarding veterans at both the federal and state levels. One product of these changes was the County Veterans Service Office. The Wisconsin CVSO grew out of the benefits counseling services of private veterans organizations, most notably the American Legion. By the 1930s, the volume of service work provided too much for the veterans groups to handle. So in response, veterans turned to government for help, including those of the counties. It was out of this grassroots activism that the Wisconsin CVSO was born. Upon discharge, American World War veterans received a 3.5-cent per mile travel allowance and a $60 discharge bonus. But the veterans needed more than train fare and pocket change to make a successful readjustment to civilian life. World War veterans, like those of all wars, faced numerous readjustment problems, many of which lingered years after the cessation of hostilities. The cases for assisting veterans became overwhelming by the 1930s because the World War I veterans were aging and needed more assistance than veterans organization could properly manage. After years of lobbying, hearings, petitions, not only from veterans organizations, but from counties trying to assist these veterans. On April 9, 1935, State Senator Morley Kelly of Fond du Lac introduced Senate Bill 305, a proposal requiring counties to hire a service officer. Amended to that position became voluntary rather than mandatory. The legislation passed the Senate. On May 9th, SB 305 went to the Assembly, and thereafter soon by a vote of 64-16 on May 24th, 1935, Wisconsin Governor Philip F. LaFollette signed SB 305 into law. Now, the legislation stipulated that the officer, that be the county service officer, be a veteran, whose duties would be to advise with all veterans of wars, residents of the county, relative to any complaint made or problem submitted by them, to render him such assistance, and in his opinion, that he may render. While the position was not mandatory, it nevertheless created basic standards for the position. In counties that opted to hire a CVSO, veterans had now another person to whom they could turn if they needed assistance in obtaining benefits. Now, as time went on, the state legislature did pass a law that required all 72 counties have a Veteran Service Office. Under state statute 45.82 requires a county to provide space and assistance to enable them to aid former military personnel. Now, there is a grant provided by the state, however, it's very small. But here in Sheboygan County, the county board provides a fairly substantial amount for that office to operate. Dwayne.
So, when you first told me about that role of the American Legion promoting and to help develop the County Veterans Service Office, I was not aware of the hard work that had gone into securing that office. And as I had mentioned earlier about how the American Legion has been committed to devote to the mutual helpfulness and veterans and others, this help for veterans also helps with the budget of the Veterans Administration. The Legion has tens of thousands of members who volunteer nearly 1 million hours annually in VA facilities to help their fellow veterans navigate through the VA system, saving the department about $20 million per year. Now, in the event that the American Legion members cannot get to their County Veterans Service Office because of distance or for any other reason, the American Legion will provide assistance with a highly trained veteran service office within the American Legion.
Okay, so Dwayne, we covered a lot concerning the American Legion pillar about Veterans Affairs and Rehabilitation. However, as much as is available, folks more than willing to help these veterans. If the veteran doesn't reach out and call, they're missing out on benefits guaranteed because they served. Sheboygan County veterans, that number again, 920-459-3053. And we want to cover just a couple of areas that we here in Plymouth, the American Legion Post, does mutual assistance. And Dwayne, one of them is our buddy checks.
Our buddy checks, yes, and that's exactly what it is. We check up on our buddies, our members throughout our American Legion family. We try to do that as the last few years. It's been something that's been implemented, but they said, well, do it a couple times a year. We have found now that with our aging, all of us are aging, and health issues are changing much quicker, and we do it monthly, sometimes a couple times a month, or even weekly. We've given somebody a call and find out that all of a sudden they've had a major health issue.
Yeah, and it's been surprising because I know you've told stories at our meetings of, hey, so-and-so really needs some assistance. The other thing that we do, we have several members of our post that are volunteer at the Sharon Richardson Community Hospice Center. There's a special program there called We Honor Veterans. And what we do is, as that veteran is approaching the end of life, we do what's called a pinning ceremony. And it's very brief, rather simple, but we do it as meaningful as possible.
Yes.
We do it especially for the family. When we realized how much this meant to the families themselves, hearing the stories that they had never heard before, because it's a veteran-to-veteran thing. And they just were overwhelmed by some of it. So in that, we enacted a new program within that pinning ceremonies, and we give honor to the family. You have to remember that veteran and that service member is out, away from the family, foreign country or wherever, and they're worried. The veteran or the serviceman they're just doing their job. And so a lot of times they don't realize how the family back home is really worried about what's going on. So we have a special ceremony for that family for what they did and how they coped with their loved one in service. So I want to thank you for watching. Please stay safe, healthy, stay active. Thank you again.